I just appreciate a small, locally
No, I
owned
hear ya.
Ace Hardware. The owner comes and says, hi, what do you need today?
Yeah, I think
that.
that's what I love about Chicago too, is that you always have the local option, right? And supporting local, we love to support local here.
I live in Old Irving. I have some neighbors that send their kids to school in the Lincoln Square area, and it is a side street game every morning and every school pickup.
Certain areas, especially like Lincoln Square, are seeing more extreme demand. We just don't have as much, so you really have to be competitive. Hey, I'm Andy Hasdell with my business partner,
Liz Jones.
and we are the Revo Residential Team. We're a boutique real estate team in Chicago, and we're here today to talk about Lincoln Square.
I love Lincoln Square.
Yeah, Lincoln Square is one of our favorite neighborhoods to work in. And we do have a lot of clients that live and work up there, but then need to commute downtown.
Currently, right now, we're selling a condo
That's
in
true,
Lincoln
we are.
Square.
Yes. We are under contract with a 3-bedroom, 1-bath rehab. Vintage. Yes.
Needs a rehab, but once it's restored to its original charm, if you look at the neighbor who is directly across the hall, I helped her buy that condo. Hers is pristine and it is beyond beautiful.
And I think that's the draw, is that there are still investment properties, like places you can flip and turn into something, they do need restoration. Like some places need that love.
Yeah, for example, this building that I'm selling in right now was an original 1900s brick boutique, 6-flat. The seller grew up in this condo in Chicago, now lives elsewhere, but his family stayed in the condo. Now it's time to sell. It does need some love, or a lot of love, but when it gets the love it needs, it's going to be awesome.
And I think that's the nice thing about Lincoln Square, and what our clients prefer about this neighborhood is that you're not in the hustle bustle of downtown Chicago.
No, not
but
at all.
You're not in the suburbs. It's similar to how we talked about Irving Park, right? It's kind of that happy medium where you get that small town feel with the urban vibes.
There's so much to Lincoln Square. It's a huge neighborhood. It's very similar to like a Lakeview that has different pockets with actual different, names for the different areas within the neighborhood. There's 2 major parks, Winnecke Park and Wells Park. Then there's the High Street, the Lincoln Square High Street.
I say thoroughfare or corridor.
Corridor's fine.
Corridor's fine.
Thoroughfare reminds me of a thoroughbred, so I don't like
I hear you. But we're in America, and I don't know people say High Street, but maybe some do.
The reason I say High Street is because it feels like one. It is so quaint. It's the kind of 4,700 block of Lincoln Avenue that stretches between Wilson and Lauren. It's a one-way street, so headed south, so very little traffic, or I should say it's busy with traffic because everyone wants the parking spaces there. If you get a parking spot on that little street, on that little strip, you kind of feel like you're in a different world. There's like an actual beautiful fountain that is right in the middle. I had a client who had a penthouse condo right above the bookseller on Lincoln Avenue that looked down onto that fountain, and it could not have been a more perfect location.
Yeah.
And eventually they needed more space, and so they upgraded to a single family home. But that's one example of somebody who is looking for condo living in a really quaint area that still has a ton of life to it.
You know what it reminds me of too is the North Shore cities along the train.
Right.
It's very walkable. It's very like transit-oriented development. I think that's one of the biggest appeals, obviously, is this stretch of Lincoln Avenue. It is very walkable. And actually, you mentioned the fountain, and my wife and I were there doing some Christmas shopping, and
that's where they put the Christmas tree up.
Yeah.
In the
well,
holidays.
We parked on the street there that cul-de-sacs basically and stops at Lincoln Avenue.
So quaint.
And I was like, she wants that because it's like, look, you can have this cul-de-sac that literally ends right at Lincoln Avenue, and then you have everything along that stretch.
Yeah.
They don't come up that often
because
of that, but
no, it's very much like a hot neighborhood. The vintage building, the courtyard building kind of that we're selling right now, had 6 offers on it. I have 2 clients that have bought larger single family homes simply because they needed the space, they wanted the yard. One is just west of Western Avenue, and then the other is just north of Wells Park. And they have been so happy. They don't think that they're going to be moving anytime soon.
There's a lot of people taking 2 flats and converting them into single family homes up there. You hear a lot about that.
There's a lot of streets that have the original greystones that have traditionally been multifamily units or, you know, 2 flat, 3 flat units. And if you can find one of those and you have the budget to renovate, that's like a gold mine.
Yeah. You're not going to be really getting the yard space that you could in some of the other neighborhoods like we talked about before. Old Irving, there is still mostly standard lot sizes in Lincoln Square. You do have some that are wider lots, but for the most part, I'm seeing pretty standard lot sizes.
Yeah, and if your lot is wider in Lincoln Square, you're paying a pretty penny
Yeah,
for
especially
it.
lately.
Yeah.
So it's been definitely in the news, and the prices have gone up, unfortunately, for some. If you wanted to live there, I get it, but it's definitely got some more appeal as of lately.
The other thing that I love about it is that even though it is a little bit further north and, you know, northwest in the city neighborhoods, like the transit there is incredible. You've got the Western bus that runs north-south. You've got the Western Brown Line station that was just recently redone. You've got the
Damon Brown Line.
Brown Line. You've got the Rockwell Brown Line as well. So it's a slow neighborhood, with the exception of Western Avenue, which we know, you know, runs quickly, which is great for convenience. But everywhere else around it got this slow pace to it.
Well, the L also runs along the ground,
right?
You know,
so
ground
you
level, which is
have to stop because the train, what do you call it?
The crossing.
The train crossing. Yeah, they
whatever.
Come down. You sit there and you're like, where am I?
The gates or whatever come down. Yeah. Because normally, like in Chicago, if people don't know, the L is elevated or
underground.
subway underground. So it's not as common to see it along the ground level running around.
Right.
But that's why I think it feels slower, is that the trains actually have to run slower there because of it's a little more dangerous too.
But what I love is that around these train stops that are at ground level, it's like the coffee shop that is immediately outside the train station. You know,
One of my clients loves that. They live right by the Rockwell stop.
Yeah.
And they love all like the coffee shops and the pizza places and all, like everything they could want within walking distance.
Yeah, and there's a lot of angles too, a lot of angular streets that kind of end at a triangle with these little grass lots that will have benches, and they're not parks, they're not play lots, but it offers green space in your
Are you talking more of like the western side of Lincoln Square? So like that's where it hits the river. Along the river, River Park, you have lots of paths along there, and it's a nice, you know, kind of boundary to the
and the
neighborhood.
Bridges that run over the river. There's one on Wilson. They're beautiful. They're really stunning.
It's kind of like it's a unique area in that regard. I mentioned too, like prices have gone up recently. Been seeing a lot of articles written lately about single family prices going up. We know that prices over the last year have gone up about 12% to a median price of $1.1 million. So it's not cheap to live there if you want a single family.
No, even a 3-bed condo has gone up 6% in the last year.
Yeah.
So
prices for condos, you're going to see generally in that 500 to 600,000 range, especially for 3 bedrooms. So you could still get in the neighborhood under that price point, but they have gone up, particularly in the last 12 months.
I mean, and the taxes are reflective of that as well, but that's also due to the school systems being really highly rated. So you've got Waters, which is the public CPS elementary school, which is really sought after if you can get within those boundaries. But then there's also a lot of really great private school options that are nearby too. So it's a full package. You know, it's just one of those neighborhoods. If you don't want to leave the city, you want the community, you want the, you know, trick-or-treating on Halloween, you want that, you know, neighborly community feel, but you're really not too far off the beaten path. It's such a great option.
With that, you know, the prices going up as much as they have and being so in demand, we are seeing very little inventory there nowadays. So single families are about a 1 month supply of homes, which is an extreme seller's market. And the condo market is less than a month's supply right now. So you're seeing places that if there was nothing else new on the market, everything would be gone within a few weeks. And that's a testament to how great the neighborhood is, the demand for it, and just the low inventory that we're still seeing in the Chicago market as a whole. But I think certain areas, especially like Lincoln Square, are seeing more extreme demand where we just don't have as much. So you really have to be competitive.
And I would also say that, you know, there are some neighborhoods in the city where many buyers might not necessarily want to be on a main street, a large main thoroughfare, like...
Thoroughfare.
Okay, I said it. Ashland, Damon, Western specifically, but because of the demand for Lincoln Square, those condos and those homes are still selling just as quickly, and they're just as hot of properties as the ones that are tucked away on the quieter side street.
And I think that it was a little bit of a late bloomer compared to your Lincoln Park and Lakeviews or your, let's say, West Town Logan Square, right? Because they're going to have very similar appeals for lots of the same, people looking at that same price point. They might be considering Lakeview or Lincoln Square or Logan Square, let's say, or Irving Park. But I feel like maybe Lincoln Square got a little bit of a behind because of some of the cons behind it. Not so much. It is close to the Brown line, so you do have the public transit, and it is close to the Metro line. I use the Ravenswood stop all the time when going up to Ravinia in the summer. That's my train stop. Is I head over to Ravenswood and head up there. So that's at Ravenswood and Lawrence. That being said, while you still are close to the Brown line, you're not close to Lakeshore and the Red Line and the lake, and you're not close to the expressway. They're both going to be 15 to 20 minutes, which is not ideal. A lot of people like to be close to one or the other. Red line, blue line, lake with the red line, expressway with the blue line, depending on your work, depending on how much you use either of those areas. Lincoln Square is kind of in the middle of that. So you still have the Brown line access, but...
And you're relatively closer to the lake than the further western neighborhoods are, but it's a slower crawl because for the most part, it's a lot of stop signs. You can get yourself to Lakeshore Drive to head north or south, but it's just going to be a little bit of a crawl.
Yeah, I think it's ideal for someone that doesn't need to use the expressway that often, doesn't have strong feelings about being close to the lake.
To bike.
If they do love to bike or they don't love to bike?
No, if they do love to bike.
Well, a lot of people that do like to bike like to be along the lakefront path too. But there is paths still over here as well, along the river. So you do have that, but I think it's ideal for someone that maybe does work downtown and has the access via either the Metro or the Brown line. And other than that, they just enjoy having, their little community.
Yeah, it's really eclectic too.
Yeah.
There's not a ton of the more like strip mall feeling kind of stores or like the big box stores.
Right.
There's so many small local owned businesses, and I think that's why everybody loves that feeling, because they like to support small. They're getting different things out of where they're going to shop, which is really nice. Like the boutique grocery stores and the small clothing boutiques, your locally owned Ace Hardware versus going to Menards or Lowe's or Home Depot. I don't know, I just appreciate a small locally owned
I hear you.
Ace Hardware where the owner comes and says, hi, what do you need today?
Yeah, I think that's what I love about Chicago too, is that you always have the local option, right? And supporting local, we love to support local here. If I were to ask you what is one of the cons to the neighborhood, what might be someone that's not ideal, what would you say? What would come to mind?
It's tough. I would probably just say proximity to maybe your downtown. You touched on it with access to the highway. It's a bit of a hike. You're going to have to get yourself down or west, which is not the easiest, in order to get yourself to a highway access point. If you're commuting downtown on the Brown line, certainly not the bus. That would take far too long. But if you're commuting down on one of the train lines, you're probably looking at a 35-minute plus commute versus living in Lincoln Park, Lakeview, Logan Square, Bucktown, where you can expect 15 to 20 minutes.
But again, compared to Lincoln Park or Lakeview, the prices are much better for our homes, for single-family homes and condos. It's just so much
more bang for your buck.
Yeah, it is more bang for your buck.
If you're a family, even if you are not a family, but if you're a family and you're looking for more space, you can find that in Lincoln Square and get a really, really great community feel.
If you were to ask me one of the biggest cons for the neighborhood, I would definitely say Western Avenue as a whole, right? It's great because you have access to the bus. It can take you up in north or south, and you can get up to Evanston, or you can get further south to downtown or wherever you need to. It's a large thoroughfare. It's a large, major street, and it's 4 lanes for the most part?
4 lanes for the most part, and it's under construction a lot.
It's under construction a lot.
So I live in,
But all of Chicago is always under construction.
I live in Old Irving. I have some neighbors that send their kids to school in the Lincoln Square area, and it is a side street game every morning and every school pickup, because Western Avenue is going to inevitably be tied up some point with some construction.
It is it's tough. That's how it is with everywhere. There's always going to be pros and cons.
It'll start.
Well, and I just think that you're going to need those major streets. It's going to happen, but sometimes it can be a little bit of a hindrance to the area. But
yeah, there's also the Swedish Hospital, which is right right there.
So if you get in an accident on Western Avenue, you can go
You
right
can
there.
go right there, exactly.
You're all set.
So, but no, there's actually way more to that hospital. Not to focus in on that, but there's like an entire gym. There's the Galter Pavilion, which has like everything under the sun that you could possibly want, on top of it being the convenience of a hospital. And it's a little bit further away too.
So basically right now, if you want to be in Lincoln Square,
utilize your realtor and
Yes.
the private market right now.
Private market was huge.
And just like your relationships with other realtors who might
Yeah.
have something coming soon, blast that out. Try to figure out like what your buyer's needs are and put it out there, because getting in early is probably your best shot.
And the inventory levels are some of the lowest in the city right now.
Right. So if you're just going to sit there and wait for something to come on the MLS, you could be waiting for quite a long time.
And then you'll be competing with a lot of other buyers.